All right, welcome everybody. This is Miss Agapov, and this is the homework help video. I'm going to let you know which problems I'm going to be working on. So on the very first page, we're going to be looking at the first, second, and fourth. All right. So if you have any particular questions on any other ones, just make a note of that, and you can ask me either during an appropriate time in class, which would be like your independent before class, or even after class. All right, so let's just dive right into this awesome mathical mess. Yes, I just said mathical. Okay, so we want to find slope for each line. Okay, the resources that we're given to be able to do this would be the fact that we have a line and we have two given whole number points. What I mean by whole number is that this dot, this coordinate point, lies right in the middle of these intersecting lines. It's not like in the middle of this line or anything. So to prove my point, I'm going to tell you what the coordinate point is for this and for this point. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, our x value would be 4, and our y value would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It would also be 4. Right, and over here, we're going to go 1, 2, 3 for my x. Then I'm going to go down the y, 1, 2, 3, 4. And going down the y-axis means it's going to be a negative number. All right, so we can see that we have two whole point coordinates to be able to work with. And we want to find how our y's change and how our x changes. So remember, slope is our change of y over our change in x. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to start with this 3, -4 coordinate. And I'm going to use these individual boxes to actually count how my y is changing. So you're not going to count these little lines, not this line. You're going to actually count the boxes instead, because you're counting the distance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This means that my y is changing by 8 and my x is going to change by 1. Okay, you can also reduce this down to 8 if you like. Okay, if you have any further questions on this, please just make a little note, like, I don't know, need help with counting boxes. I don't know. Whatever your need is, just make a little note so that you remember to ask me. All right, moving on to number 2. So I'm going to do kind of like the same method, but I'm actually going to start at this top coordinate point instead of the bottom one like I did with number 1, just so we can see that either method works. So first off, I know that slope is our change in y over our change in x. So I'm going to start at this point, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now because I'm moving down our y-axis, that means that the change in y is negative. Okay, and my change in x, I'm moving to the left, so that is also negative. So 1, 2, 3, negative 3. All right, and a negative divided by a negative is always a positive. So we end up with actually 5 over 3. Now I'm going to show you that this is true, because if we were to work it the other way, the way that I did it in number 1, and starting at this bottom, this first coordinate point, and changing my y and my x, we'd see that we're actually going to count up, going up the y-axis. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, there's my positive 5 right here. Okay, and then I'm going to move to the right on my x-axis. 1, 2, 3. Ah, there's my positive 3. Okay, so either way works, but if you do it this way, if you do the counting down and counting to the left on the x, you need to make sure that you end up with your slope looking like this and not leaving it like this. Okay, if you need extra help on that, remember, make a little note. All right, number 4. I'm going to do what I normally do, because I like to do my change in my y and then my change in x and not the other way around. So I'm going to start here with this point. I'm going to count 1, 2. So I know my change in y is 2, and I'm moving up the y-axis, so I know it's positive, and I move to the right on my x-axis, so I know that's going to be positive. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You can also tell that this is positive because we're going up to the right. We're going up to the right. Okay, and we can reduce this down to 1/2. We can see that we have 1/2 in here as well. So if we start at this point and we wanted to find another point, we can go up 1 on the y-axis and then over 2 on the x-axis. So both of these things, these are equivalent triangles, much like when we're doing our fraction or finding our slope in our table, we have to do equivalent ratios. Same thing. We have 4, and then we have 1, and then we have 2. They're equivalent. Not exactly the same, but they are equivalent. There we go. That's our slope for that one. All right, let's look at number 5. It's where things get a little complicated, because this one's a little new and there's a little bit of algebra in there. All right, so I've been teaching you in class to label our coordinates based on which x comes first. So on a number line, like if we were to trace number line from left to right, we'd end up hitting a -9 before we hit a +17. So I'm going to use this one as my x1 and my y1. I'm going to write x and y up here just to keep things a little organized for myself. So 17 is going to be my 17(2) and my y2. All right, x and my y up here. All right, and I'm going to do another color just so I keep all of our color coding together. So our equation was m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right. Okay. So we know we're going to deal with our y2 and our y1 first. Okay. Based on what I did over here, we can see that my y2 is 9. Right, 9. And then I'm going to subtract that from my y1, which is -5. All right. Then go with our x's. We have our x2, which is going to be 17. Subtract that from our x1, which is -9. Okay. We can see all of our purple. So my y is on top, my x is on bottom, my y is on top, and my x is on bottom. These go together, and then these go together. All right. So this gets a little funny if you're not sure what to do here, especially because I know that many of us are struggling or struggle with subtracting or adding fractions. So one way that you can do is either use a number line or you can do stay flip flip. And if you were to do stay flip flip, this would stay, so we'd end up with 9 plus 5. Another way that you can show this is by just circling them, crossing them out, and putting a plus sign. Circling them, crossing them out, putting a plus sign. So you can see that these are going away and you're adding them instead. So 9 plus 5 is going to give me 14 over 17 plus 9 is going to give me 26. Okay, and like the other ones, we got to reduce. So we got to find the greatest common multiple to be able to either divide or multiply to get it smaller. We can definitely make this smaller, so we're going to divide. We're going to divide by the top and bottom by 2. Divide by the top and bottom by 2. Okay, 2 divided by 14 is going to give me 7. 26 divided by 2 is going to give me 13. And this is our slope. Our change in y is 7. Our change in x is 13. All right, so looking at these, we have an x 19 and a -13y. We have a positive x of 17, and we have a positive 15y. Okay, putting these up here just so I can keep track and keep it organized. This is my x column, this is my y column. So I'm going to rewrite the equation that we've been using, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 1. Repeat this and write this as many times as you can, so then, you know, it's drilled into your brain and you know nothing else. A lame joke. Okay. So looking at this up here, we can see, let's look at our x's first. Which one is smaller? Okay, 17 is smaller, so we know this is going to be our first x, meaning this must be our first y. Therefore, this x is our second x, and this is our second y. Okay, so we're going to take this one first, or subtract it from our first y. So negative 13 minus 15 over our second x, which is 19, minus our first x, which is 17. Okay, 13 minus 5 is going to give me negative 28. Okay, and then 19 minus 17 is going to give me 2. Okay, and then 2 divided by negative 28 is negative 14. And that's our slope. You can also rewrite it as m equals negative 14 over 1, or you can keep it as negative 14, whichever one works for you. All right, so that's it for the homework help video. I'm sorry that this was posted really late. I had some technical issues. Please make sure that you are writing down some notes if you need help with anything specific. Ask me Spay. So there you go. Again, ask me questions, be specific about it so I can help you the best. All right, that's it. I hope you found this useful. Have a wonderful night. Good night.